No Man's Sky. Na, 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 no. No Man's Sky. Na, 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 no. No Man's Sky. Hey guys, I'm Norman, and there's been some Light No Fire news. Our boy Sean of the Morries has had an interview with Kotaku a few days ago. There's still no gameplay footage, but it's still pretty juicy, because it gives us a much better idea of what actually is happening behind the scenes at Hello Games. Because apparently we were supposed to see Light No Fire years ago? Huh? It was revealed back in December 2023 with that little teaser trailer, 90 seconds long with that great song, Hunger of the Pine. I'm gonna need a new intro for when Light No Fire comes out. I do love 65 Days of Static. I hope my intro song expresses that. The Norman Debutante remix. And Alt J will get the same treatment. I'm a female rebel. Okay, what am I talking about? The reaction to that trailer was enormous and still is. My cousin has started a YouTube channel for a game that doesn't even exist yet. The hype for this game is unreal. Sean explained in this interview how things were originally intended to go. He said he planned to tease the game with a 90-second trailer, like we've got, and then show more of it later, potentially at Summer Games Fest 2024. He also said he had a much bigger thing he wanted to show that would really explain the vision and the ambition of the game. But then everyone watched the trailer. It reached 20 million views, and Light No Fire shot up to the number 2 on Steam's wishlist charts. And I take it the folks at Hello Games basically looked at that and thought, maybe it's best we let the game do the talking, especially with how things went last time. Sean's been very open about how much the pre-release marketing of No Man's Sky taught him. So it's no surprise that the attitude now seems to be, keep making the game, let the game do the talking. There's one really cool bit in the interview where Sean basically describes what he's seeing on his screen as being way, way beyond what any normal studio would have, while also explaining that Hello Games has deliberately kept it from the rest of the world. They're obviously being careful here. This doesn't mean the game's finished, it doesn't mean there's going to be a release date imminent, but it does tell us that it's not sitting in a cupboard waiting to be made after all this time. Sean says he's been working on this game for around 7 years already, and has said he'd like to still be working on it in 10 years after launch. And this brings me to something I've been thinking about a lot, because we're getting little pieces of Light No Fire inside No Man's Sky. Voyager's update is one such example. I honestly don't think they'd have added ship making into No Man's Sky if they weren't already making the infrastructure for Light No Fire. It seemed to me at the time like throwing shade to perhaps some other space games that had shipbuilding mechanics, like now No Man's Sky's got shipbuilding, baby! But I don't think that was the intent behind the update. I think genuinely they were working on it for Light No Fire, and then it was added into No Man's Sky. But this also gives us a glimpse at the technology that they're using for Light No Fire as well. To be able to make our own ships to cross these vast oceans with our crew in multiplayer, operating in their own physics space. Having a general purpose for the ships to traverse these massive oceans. So I'm always looking at No Man's Sky today, thinking that each update is a glimpse in the future. What may be in Light No Fire, we can perhaps get a glimpse at what's being added to No Man's Sky now. And this is why I can wait. This is why I can let it cook. Because we'll see, perhaps, mechanics or other things like this retroactively go back into No Man's Sky. But I want gameplay. I want things to matter. I want the crew to need a pilot, a navigator, someone carrying supplies for everyone to be engaged in multiplayer. I want proximity chat, because the amount of experiences that gets created in games that have proximity chat is just one of my favorite things. I'm a friendly. Shoot first and ask questions later. And Light No Fire could just be ripe for interactions like that. Different attributes between characters, a front line, an archer, and some kind of engaging combat, because a lot of people would say No Man's Sky doesn't have the best combat. And I would agree with them if not for VR. Take a look at some of these clips. Here's me boxing sentinels. Now you're in my lair. Now you're in my lair. Now you're in my lair. Yeah, yeah, you see? Here's me mega bonking some predators. The inclusion of VR really changes the game, and that's probably be the biggest thing I'd want to come into Light No Fire. Now, I would say doing combat like this in No Man's Sky is absolutely incredible, but since the most recent update, the Remnant update, VR melee is now impossible. I really, really wish I had more footage. It was one of my favourite things to do. When it was a thing, it was so addictive. Headbutt Ferrite? Yes, please. And so I have so much fun with the combat in No Man's Sky. You know, channel your inner Roman Reigns for a Superman punch, you know? But since the Remnant update, you can no longer hit players, fauna, or sentinels. Of course, that's probably way too ambitious thinking about VR in Light No Fire. At the very least, I'd hope for being able to swap between different weapons, have some kind of skill expression with the combat. Enemies that actually require you to learn their behavior. Yeah, you got the Sentinels, one of them spawns, one of them heals. That's I love that. That's more engaging than what it was. But I'd love to see some player characters have abilities and different play styles. Essentially, I want the combat to be so fun that people seek it rather than tolerate it. And this is ultimately why I'm fascinated with Light No Fire. Hello Games are taking everything they've learned to make a planet-sized world. But of course, the downside to all of the hype is the wait. But one thing I want you to think about to take the blow off is it's coming into No Man's Sky. And as Cosmos drops, let's pick it to the bone and figure out what we may expect in Light No Fire. That's what we gotta do. Look what Worlds brought. And now this name is Cosmos? I'm thinking big. I really appreciate this interview Sean did with Kotaku. You know, the game is there. They've got a chunk of it done. They're working on it. And right now it looks incredible. That's good news, baby. That's good news. Because before this interview, I may have speculated that they might not have done as much. Just because it's been in development for 5 years or 7 years doesn't mean much has been done at all. So this interview confirms that at least that worry isn't the case. So yes, let it cook, Lionel. You hear me? Give it more time for Light No Fire to have incredible combat. So yeah, it's good to know Hello Games hasn't been standing still. They're building the technology, they're testing it, moving it to No Man's Sky, and quietly developing the game behind closed doors. So instead of asking why haven't they shown Light No Fire, we should be saying, what the heck have they built so far? And I honestly can't wait to find out. Well, anyways, I've been Norman. You've been awesome. Bye! Ooh, subscribe please. Ooh, subscribe please. Ooh, I'm a female rebel.